Hey everyone, Mr. Hughes here, taking a look at our clamp assembly from Wednesday's assignment that we were practicing with in Onshape, and just want to cover a little bit with you in this video on motion limits and just seeing some of the motion kind of features that Onshape has, very similar to Inventor or in the case for next year, Fusion 360. So if we look over here in the browser, we've got a listing of all the mate features, so the mates that we did to assemble these parts. And if I right click on this and say go to animate, and if I just the very first revolute, if I press play, I'm going to get this kind of thing that happens. So it's definitely going through and following, so based on the motion by the mates, but it doesn't really, it's not really the correct operation of this particular item. So let me go ahead and bring that back. So that's the thing there, is that as we're kind of looking at this, this is not giving us realistic motion. So that handle should not be able to go through the body of the base and everything as such. So in order to fix that, Revolute 1 is the one that's kind of causing that to happen. All the other ones are fine. I'm going to right click on Revolute 1 and say edit. Now the thing is about this is if I click the play button, that's exactly the motion that's happening. And when we go to animate, it's just going through and moving that, and then all the other parts are moving with it. So here's what we're going to have to do is we really only want it to move between the position it's in, come down, and then come back up. So I'm going to go ahead and check limits. Right now there's a Z limit. Now the thing is about this is you may have to play around with this flip primary axis or reorient secondary axis. So the thing is the secondary axis, the primary axis actually flips the lever around. So we really probably don't want to play with that so much, because you can see that it'll kind of go through and mess around with that. So I'm going to go ahead and mess with this a little bit. The one way we can do that, I'm going to go ahead and click over here on the right side view, and you'll be able to see that when you'll see there's an X and there's a Y. When I click that secondary axis, it's going to flip which direction that it's in. So right now, this is not exactly the position that I want it to be in. So I'm going to click until I get it. And this is really what I want to see, is I'm going to start out from this point where this lever is going to be the bottom of it is going to be parallel. This line right down here is going to be parallel with the top of this line. So we're in this position. So that's going to be when the clamp is closed, and then when you pull it back open, that's going to be what happens. So this is actually the perfect kind of position. You should be able to see the same kind of thing as you kind of walk around there. So as you kind of move that part around. As you take a look at the Z, here's the point here, is I'm going to go ahead and type in 0 for 0, and then when I click off of it, it's going to put in DEG for degrees. So let's go ahead and do 180 for the maximum, and let's hit the play button. Okay, now here's the only issue, is that it's actually moving. I actually want it to move in the opposite direction. So this may be a point where I need to take a look at reorienting that axis a little bit. So I'm going to try to click this. When I reorient, it's going to put X up here and Y there. Now let me hit play. Okay, so there's 180 degrees. Now the only thing is, maybe I want it to start in this position, and maybe I just need to edit this to be 90 degrees. Again, I'm just kind of playing around and seeing what kind of motion I can get from this. That's actually the motion that I want to see, is that when the clamp is up, when that handle's in the up position like that, the clamp is retracted. When I click play, and then it stops at 90 degrees, and you can see that blue kind of play in there as the lever's moving. So there's the starting position at 0, comes down to 90, and then it's going to come back. So that's actually the perfect thing that I need. 0 degrees, 90 degrees. I'm going to hit the green check mark. Now, even though the handle grip didn't go with it when it was doing that, it will now, and everything will be good. And you'll still be able to click and drag. And actually, when you click and drag, you're not going to be able to move it past the limit. So because that joint limit is already set, so I can't go through and rotate it around 360 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the up position. If I go back to Revolute 1, right click and say animate, it'll animate all the joints together, and then that way you can kind of see that. So now we're seeing a start value and an end value for Revolute 1 at 90 degrees. If you want this to kind of look at reciprocating playback, this will make it go down and come back. It's kind of like the amount of repetitions you would have in Inventor. And this is kind of what you're seeing, but you see all those joints are moving together as far as that goes, in order to get that function to happen for those moving parts. If you wish to make this go a little faster, Let's drop this down by half, 150. So this goes through and makes it go a little faster. The number of steps. So it's how many steps that it goes through to do that. So if you drop that down, let's try it at 50. So there it is, a little bit faster as you go back and forth. So that's just something there, just something kind of neat, that I wanted you guys to try out. Just something you're well aware of. I know to me, I always think that, being able to do this motion and everything's a really neat option. And so just wanted to show you how to do that here in Onshape. Very much so like we do in Inventor or even in Fusion 360.